You have a very big CV here, Rob. Thank you very much for participating in this conference today with us. You are going to talk about strategy, right?
Yes, organizational strategy.
Okay, the stage is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay. On the 30th of November 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT, enabling hundreds of millions of people to access the transformative power of AI. A technology so powerful that Facebook, Amazon, and Google have invested billions to catch up. Elon Musk wants all development suspended, and Italy banned it outright. Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, said, "If you think you understand the impact of AI, you do not understand and have yet to be further instructed." The ChatGPT challenge is a challenge for governments, organizations, businesses, and individuals. It throws down the gauntlet to each and every one of us. Disrupt or be disrupted. That is the choice facing us all. Good morning, I'm Robert Dixon. Just a little bit of a background of where I first became aware of ChatGPT phenomena. So with my lecturing in business strategy on the MBA program, I was always very keen looking at trends in the macro environment that then disrupt organizations and basically are connected to strategic innovation and response to that. And as a result of this, I've followed the works of Elon Musk a lot. He generally is quite disruptive in multiple markets. Space, internet connectivity, Boring Company, and obviously he was one of the founders of OpenAI. So I've been following what was sort of going on with OpenAI in the background. And then when ChatGPT launched and suddenly made this accessible to millions of people, I got involved straight away. And it became very clear this was a really exciting and transformative technology. And what was different was by using this technology, as a knowledge worker and an educator and a business person, suddenly I had the power of huge computing power. I could code, I could develop apps, I could bring things in just in natural language incredibly fast. And ever since it's come about, really, I've been working with it, developing things, building things, teaching it with my students, building to my courses. And then through the consultancy that I'm a co-founder of, we've been working with businesses to develop organizational capabilities, both for knowledge workers within the business and at the board level. So AI has been around for a long time. Why is it suddenly getting so much attention now? Well, just pause for a moment, and we need to just understand the difference between generative AI and retrieval AI. So retrieval AI is what we all know from in terms of Google. The user types in a search term, the retrieval algorithm goes up to a huge source of data, which with Google is basically an indexation of everything that's on the internet, finds the most appropriate responses and brings it back for the user. So it's a looking up function. Now, generative AI models are there is no data. They are basically created, and we can think of them more as a compression algorithm. What they're actually doing is taking all of the data of the internet, training a predictive model so it can respond with the wisdom of all of that connected knowledge of the internet. So it's actually quite the opposite. It's compressing this data down into a very small algorithm. And I forget that ChatGPT's algorithm would easily fit on a regular computer. And predictions are it's going to be smaller and smaller all the time in terms of the hard drive this space this thing takes up. And once the model has been trained and created, the user is simply using it by input, and the generative model predicts an output and sends it back. So the key thing here is there is no data and it is predictive. And this is where this phenomenon of hallucination can come in. If you ask a question, like I asked it to talk about sheep farming in central Manchester, There is no data on that. There's nothing on the internet about it. It's not been trained on it. But what it will do is create an answer to fill that space. However, when you ask it questions on things where there is lots of data on the internet and it is well trained on it, then we'll find it will be very accurate and informative. And understanding this difference between retrieval AI and generative AI is fundamental to understand the phenomena of what's been going on. So pre the 30th of November 2022, when ChatGPT launched, if we think of the tech world, IT and technical people, they were using retrieval AI, doing some code to build applications. Since 2017, when Attention Is All You Need, which was a fundamental paper with the transformer, which really got generative AI going and connecting neural networks, they've been able to, using APIs, connect generative AI and through some code deliver applications. But the rest of us, the knowledge workers out there, the lawyers, the accountants, the marketeers, the business executives, the customer service people, we would be using these applications and we weren't able to create them ourselves. Now, what's happened is with ChatGPT, this has created a really simple, easy to use plugin that allows us, knowledge workers, non-technical people, to connect to the power of generative AI. And a separate phenomenon has been going on, which is no code with platforms such as Zapier, Bubble, and Make, and various others. Through this now, knowledge workers are able to build their own applications using no code and very often just directly from the source itself. In parallel to that, GitHub Copilot, which is a kind of a technical coding version of generative AI, which basically completes the coding, was put in, and it's built on sort of ChatGPT to empower the coding and software industry. So this is the change that's happened. The story here really is not about generative AI. It's the access of hundreds of millions of knowledge workers, non-technical people, accountants, marketeers, small business owners, executives, who can now create their own powerful applications and can directly access phenomenal computing power that was, unheard of just 6 months ago. And this is what is causing the disruption. Now, there's two key underlying trends here that are playing out. One is the falling cost of software development. With the GitHub Copilot feature, there's already talk of a tenfold increase in coding productivity. And if we have a look over here, the collapsing cost, this is the predicted cost here of developing software, and it's forecast to collapse over the next 10 years. So producing applications, suddenly, it was always a limiting factor in progress, and this is going to radically transform. Now, the other trend is the knowledge worker productivity boost that is going on. Knowledge workers now able to access this computing power directly can see, a significant boost in what they can do. So much so, Goldman Sachs recently produced a report. By the way, in my presentation, all of these links are clickable if you want to go to the, directly to my source data here. Goldman Sachs predict 300 million job losses, and they've divided up by different sectors. ARK Invest are talking about a fourfold productivity increase for knowledge workers, so 400%. They've cited this example of generative image models. It used to take 5 hours, $150 to produce imagery like this. Generative AI, this can take a minute. So this huge boost in knowledge worker productivity is really what we're just at the start of. I've been working with a lot of businesses and students. People are just starting to dabble with this technology and use it in their roles. But more and more people are now using it on a daily basis, and suddenly, you can get some amazing productivity benefits sort of straight away. If we have a little look at the productivity impact landscape for organizations and business in terms of what's going on, there's really sort of three phases that are kind of playing out right now before there's any even without looking at any underlying improvement to the technology. And phase one is direct access to the model. So this is things like ChatGPT, Google's version Bard, and then we've got Stable Diffusion Midjourney for images. And once a knowledge worker is competent at using that, we can look at potentially 30% productivity boosts already. I mean, examples being writing LinkedIn posts, Twitter posts, generating marketing plans, upload a client brief, get out a quotation. It's bureaucracy busting. You can use it for health and safety documentation production, grant applications. Last year, I applied to speak at the CABS conference, which is the Confederation of Business Schools in the UK. It took me 2 days to write my application, and I was rejected. This year, with ChatGPT helping, I did it in 1 hour and got in. So real world kind of immediate benefits just with using the kind of ChatGPT, these large language models, vanilla. Phase two, which is already underway, is this idea of taking the AI, the power of the AI, and putting it into applications and automating. And I guess that the other flip of that is taking the power of applications and plugging them into the AI. And these things are kind of playing out right now. So ChatGPT is already being upgraded with plugins. So it's going to be connecting to Zapier, and there's basically thousands of APIs. So we're going to see it connecting to Xero, Salesforce, all kinds of things, Instacart, Shopify. All these plugins are sort of under development, and that's going to come into the vanilla model probably in the next month or two. They've also got a browsing kind of plugin that's coming out. So we're going to see this sort of thing going on. But let's have a little look more closely at what we mean by some of these applications. Now, I've just picked out 5 just little examples here. So, and I'll just quickly show you. Futurepedia.io here. This is just a database of some of these applications that are connecting to the large language model. 2,329 AI tools in 54 categories, 27 added today, news 3. So right now, and this is, bear in mind, the API has only been released about 2 months. There are thousands of these things being developed. I mean, if we have a look at some of the most popular that we've got on here, obviously ChatGPT is, but we've got your Namelix, generate short brandable business names, create videos from blog posts in 2 minutes, unlock your best work with AI generative storytelling, obviously Midjourney, Codium, and there are oodles of these things being created all the time. In terms of prompt engineering and chatbot creation, I quite like this studio, Hey Novo AI. Now, what's quite nice about this is you can explore what everyone else is doing in terms of prompting and creating chatbots. So someone's made the best ways to stop procrastination chatbot. Someone's made a sarcasm bot. They've made a new manager coaching bot, a psychotherapist bot. I'll show you one I've made. And it's as simple as you just create a new project and type in your initial prompt here. And I created one that basically is a dictionary, an interactive dictionary for 8-year-olds. So I can now type in words like introspection. Got my caps lock on. And this will give me a definition in language understandable for an 8-year-old. Introspection means looking inside yourself, etc., etc. And I could ask more questions about it. Tell me more about what feelings are. And we can see the AI is staying in context of an 8-year-old. So you can imagine creating these type of chatbots, toning them up specifically to your target market, responding to children, different demographics and groups, and you could even flex some of these things as if you call the API directly. But this is just a great little area for trying out what's possible. Just another example is the fine-tuning aspect. So this is something called Get Cody. Now here you can basically load up your own documents. It's as simple as you click upload, and you can drag and drop PDFs, PowerPoints in there, etc., etc. You put them in. You can create a bot, and then you can chat away with set bot. And I actually built one of these. This took me 30 minutes yesterday to build it into our website. And you can just simply type in, send. How can organizations prepare for the AI revolution? And I've got this this is ChatGPT uploaded with Dixon Humphrey's offerings, and it will go away and come up with a great question. AI is projected to increase productivity, knowledge, etc., etc. What can my organization do? And it's now responding personally to kind of what's going on. Really quick and easy to build, very easy to deploy, and then we're now fine tuning it and training with your own data. Now, what's empowering here is not what it can do. It's empowering that non-technical people can learn to do this in a few hours, and they can be creating powerful bots, powerful things in second. Here's another one I built. Research a subject on any one. Let's just pick. This does academic literature reviews. I'm going to do very quickly. Marketing strategy for Generation Z. It's done an update and click go. All right, do that again. And then we can just go to the results and oops, just pick this one here. And you can see what it's doing here is instantly, from just that prompt, it's pulling me in a scope, it's dividing it into themes, it's pulling me key academic publications in each area. And this is all from nested nested prompting. So that's an app that me and my friend built to speed up academic research. And finally, we can plug these things into things like Zapier. So here's one I made that does the same thing, but with an email response. So this is the applications and automation phenomena that's kind of going on, right now. People are busy working on this and building it into all kinds of process. But the key thing here is not just knowledge work, not just tech people. This is knowledge workers, just normal people without coding experience as well. And phase 3 is about agents. Now, AutoGPT is the most well known here, but this is where you build a kind of an agent that will give it a task. It uses ChatGPT technology to divide it up into a series of subtasks, and then for each of those, it goes away and runs them. So, for example, you could create an agent that you could give it a prompt of something like explore the food and drinks industry in Greece. Give me a list of all the key people who spend money on marketing, and bring me back a database in Excel that gives me the name, their email address, their LinkedIn profile, their Twitter page, and so on. And the bot would divide up into a series of jobs, run away, pull all that information back, and populate the table. So again, that's in very early days, but it's proving to be quite powerful. So this is the kind of this 4x productivity that we're looking at. This is the landscape of what is happening right now. And really, I don't think organizations have seen the impact of this yet. We're at the bottom of the S curve, and this is going to really hit, I think, in the next 6 months, and we're going to see some huge disruption in the field. Let's just take a brief pause for a moment and think about how do we create generative AI models. Well, basically, you take your transformer, you put some training data in, reinforcement learning, and you create a model. And then you can have your inputs and outputs. And these are vision models, et cetera, anomaly, recommendation models. And everything that we're looking at here, ChatGPT, is large language models. So GPT 3, 3.5, and 4 examples of that. Facebook have Llama, Amazon have Bloom, Hugging Face, Bard have Google. Now, the reason it's important to be aware of what's going on here, without any development to these yellow areas, just with the models we currently have, we probably have 10 years of major disruption coming to multiple injuries of a scale that was bigger than the internet. And if you want to think about speed, think about how disruptive the internet would have been if it had had the internet to tell everybody about itself. The internet has relied on newspapers, the mainstream medias, and word of mouth to kind of spread and people connect to it. This is more disruptive in terms of capability with instant communication worldwide. So we're going to see a highly compressed, disruptive model. Now, the thing that is going on in the background is if we look at these yellow areas here and we explode up the AI value chain from this McKinsey model, we can see the computer hardware, cloud platforms, foundation models, and model hubs that build that are all going to be undergoing disruption as well. And every time improvements are here, or here, we're going to see that making the applications even more powerful, the services even more powerful that come across the top. So there's a huge risk about whatever you start to do something, it might be made obsolete by some power tool or power capability just in the native model or new application that comes out. So it's a really difficult time to work out, what to do. We're going to see aggregate capability of our systems predictors shoot up, the cost of training these things collapsing. So what do we do about this as organizations? Well, the choice is simple. It's disrupt or be disrupted. This is our kind of bog standard, MBA, Harvard MBA strategy. Most of this comes from this textbook here, biggest selling strategy textbook in the world. And in short, we're identifying a strategic position by analyzing the operating environment. And then we're making choices and we're saying, are they suitable to that strategic position? And then we implement it. And we come up with strategies in terms of short-term, medium, long, and obviously corporate level, strategic business unit level, and operational level. So that's our standard model. And it's quite structured, it's quite formal. Most companies will do this on perhaps a 12-month basis, a 5-year basis for the medium, and maybe a 20-year basis for the long term. Now, generative AI has entered the operating environment. If we just blow up that for a moment, and it's popped in here into the macro sector on the end. Now, traditionally, when these disruptive technologies come in, there will either be a large leap from organizational change, or there will be a collapse of the company. So the classic case studies are Kodak, which actually invented digital photography and then disappeared from existence as it didn't impact it. Nokia, who didn't think phones connected to the internet would catch on. Xerox, who actually came up with the mouse and a lot of the basic visual graphical interfaces, but for some reason focused on photocopiers. They went out of business. So we're going to see some big casualties for organizations who get it wrong and don't adapt. However, we were talking about the acceleration of growth, this compounded exponential growth that we're going to be seeing. And this is creating a strategic moment. And we're just here really at this point, right before this huge boost. How do we respond to this? How do we get organizations to keep up with this phenomenon? There's two basic approaches to organizational strategy. Over here, we have the structured positivist underplaying way. It's about we plan, we analyze, we work out the strategy, and then we deploy it. And then a year later, we do the process again, and a year later, we do it again. And then perhaps for our medium-term strategy, we run that every 5 years, etc. And then we have over here the more constructivist, the iterative strategy. It's about get something out fast. And this stuff really is, the stuff from, the lean startup. It's about getting minimal viable products out there quickly, getting customer feedback, and going through that process of, get a product out there, make a choice, get some feedback, iterate it, and speeding it up and moving through over there. Now, the AI revolution is making predicting the operating environment moving forward exceptionally difficult. Any organization who thinks they can predict what is going to happen as a result of AI is fundamentally mistaken. Remind you again of that Sam Altman quote. If you think you can understand the impact of AI, you are yet to be instructed on the impact of AI. And also we have this increasing level of turbulence, which is very dynamic. This moves us as strategists over to this area here on the right-hand side. But what's the sort of guiding vision for where this is going? Well, consider a knowledge worker, and this is what's going to happen. We've got inputs and outputs of knowledge workers. This is what roles will kind of move towards. So think here of something like developing a marketing campaign to promote the benefits of renewable energy here. That might be the input. That's the request. And output, we want this campaign all planned. What will happen there is the knowledge work is going to be questioning and prompting the AI to come up with analysis, context, research, and data. And then from that, they'll be working with the AI to develop the output format, the target audience, what's the market segment we're going at, the writing style. And then from that, the AI could produce an engagement, social media, video, and images. So what we're going to see is all the areas in blue become taken over by AI, and a knowledge worker focusing on questions and prompts and dialogue with the AI. And this is what's going to transform us from the 1x knowledge worker to the 4x knowledge worker. The challenge is how do we get there? And it's not as easy as we think, primarily because generative AI is quite a challenging threshold whole concept. And how do organizations move to that position? So I've just quickly skipped through those slides because conscious of time. Generative AI is a threshold concept. It's very difficult to get people to paradigm shift and understand what's going on. Most people are in this unconscious incompetence when it comes to generative AI, and we need to transition our workforce into this conscious incompetence and eventually get them into conscious competence. But we need to move through all the windows to get there. And from change literature, we can see creating this sense of urgency and a reason to change is really important from Kotter. And we know from Kubler-Ross, there's going to be resistance to change. There's going to be shock. There's going to be denial. So how can organizations build up this strategy? Well, we've developed the Gephi model, which is essentially a 5-phase model for embedding organizational AI capability. Phase 1, get urgent. Phase 2, exploration. Phase 3, formulate. Phase 4, iterate. Phase 5, embed. So the initial phase, get urgent. It's coming to workshops like this. It's actually engaging and using the tools because it's really only using the tools that helps get through this threshold concept of understanding generative AI. And then allowing knowledge workers to have a kind of an exploration phase where they've got kind of access to the apps, boundaries. We've got to address issues such as data and IP confirmation, intellectual property, GDPR issues, allowing time to play, etc. And really, knowledge workers / senior leaders, they need about 2 to 3 months of just getting used to this new technology before we're even ready to start formulating an organizational strategy. And at this point, because everything's changed so radically, we can use a tool such as Miro, where collaboratively bringing these knowledge workers and senior leadership together to address issues and opportunities within the organization and look how AI can affect benefit or change or transition towards this 4x knowledge worker. And then from that, we can start to formulate a guiding set of AI strategies for the organization. Now, things are going to be continuously changing. So the key point here is then to be iterating that, perhaps certainly every month, maybe every 3 months at different levels, and staying connected with what is changing externally. And finally, once we're at the end of this disruption, it's embedding that just into the AI, into the routine day-to-day jobs of knowledge workers and senior executives. So we've been working with 3 or 4 different organizations at the moment on this model. It's been getting some really good traction and success. What's particularly illuminating is once we've got knowledge workers and executives sort of through this phase, what comes up in terms of organizational strategy is just completely unexpected. The insights people have about how their roles can be done once they're through this paradigm shift is quite amazing. To sum up, November 2022, generative AI became accessible to knowledge workers. This has kicked off the AI revolution. It's hyper-turbulent and unpredictable operating environment, compounded exponential rate of change at multiple levels. We're transitioning to a world of 10x coding productivity and 4x knowledge worker productivity. How long it takes to get there is anybody's guess. Probably somewhere between 1 year and 5. Who knows? What does this mean for organizational strategy? Get urgent. You need to act now, because if you want the choice is there. It's disrupt or be disrupted. And the sooner you get involved in these technologies and getting your knowledge workers capable with it, absolutely vitally important. Explore and play the technology before you start to formulate the strategy. Too many times we've got people who don't understand the technology are trying to come up with an AI strategy for the organization, which just does not work. And then once you've got something in place, it's about iterating to keep your organization current. And key takeouts here is transitioning from this structured formal strategy processes to more a continuous model of organizational learning. Realizing this, getting your staff and your team and your senior leaders through this threshold concept of generative AI, and really understanding the difference, that's happened in the technology. Take lots of little bets. This is coming from effectuation theory. Don't have one big strategy, because the chances are it will be wrong. You won't be able to predict it. The environment will change. Have lots of little strategies. See how they come on. Basing it on, these kind of minimum viable product, lean startup issues. And, let the strategy emerge. So I really finished the presentation on a kind of challenge. The ChatGPT challenge. It's been presented to all of us here today. Disrupt or be disrupted. Are you? Are your organization? Are we all ready to take up that challenge? Thank you.
Hi, thank you very, very much for this great presentation. You have a lot to talk about. I suppose the same things you teach to your students, right?
Yes, it's always difficult for lecturers to compress things down into 30 minutes. We do like to go on, but AI is one of those subjects that the more you delve into it, the more doors it opens, the bigger it gets, and at times it can feel overwhelming. And I think part of the idea of that Gephi model is just bringing it back down to, well, okay, what can we do in the day job? What do I need to do on a daily basis? And getting focused on the actions that we can take, as opposed to all the different avenues we could potentially go down.
Okay, I would like to ask first of all about the MBA that you are going to launch. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the basic idea of the MBI is it's exactly the same content as an MBI, as an MBA, but
MBA.
what we're trying to create here is the 4x productivity knowledge worker MBA graduate. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to be teaching using AI. We're going to be getting them to do their assessments AI empowered. We're going to be looking for 4 times the depth of research, 4 times the quality of output. Perhaps instead of one 3,000 word essay critiquing a strategic decision, they might produce 5, one aimed at undergraduates, one aimed at professors, one that's aimed for 7-year-olds. There could be multiple summaries of it. There could be a marketing campaign with it, but all coming from the same juice of what they've created. So suddenly we have these people graduating who can hit the ground, running at this kind of 4x level, and they're going to be the leaders of organisations that can take companies forward and really be the disruptors moving into this new world.
It is good to see that universities are being kept updated, if I might say that, with what's going on in the market around us. Another question: what can organizations do now to get themselves AI ready?
So, to answer that, I would just have a consideration for a moment of what kind of we do at Dixon Humphreys and how we work with organisations who want to do that. So and this template can works with or without us. The first thing that's really important is getting the board and the strategic leadership within an organisation through the threshold concept of what generative AI is. And we put together like a sort of a half-day workshop for senior executives and board, which I've done with a couple of companies now that have worked really, really well, which is getting the actual senior leaders using the tools, making some of the things themselves, delivering some of the chat bots, and then starting to work through some of the implications. So that's super important. And the second thing, we do a kind of we do the Gephi program for knowledge workers, and there we would identify the key knowledge workers in the organization, and then they sign up to the program, which involves a kind of a monthly workshop, again using the tools, creating their own chatbots, developing their own apps. Weekly, we have an online peer thing with all the people from different organizations all coming together and sharing their skills. And then with that, we run a knowledge base in the background of all the key tools, videos, learning and support that goes with it. And then we also run fun little competitions for the knowledge workers to make funny things like that little chatbot for a 7-year-old, something that just encourages them to kind of play with the technology and really boost up the capability. And I think those two things together are something that the organizations have really need to focus on. Get the board level up to speed through the threshold concept, so they can start to formulate the right strategy to move forward for this period. And then at the same time, it's accelerating that capability of the knowledge workers within the organization.
Okay, great. And we have some very good comments about your presentation, and people are asking, are we going to upload this online post-conference?
Yep. The presentation will be uploaded online. If you download it, you'll find pretty much everything is full of clickable links. So where I'm quoting, just for example here, you'll find these will click you to the actual literature. You'll find...
we can't see anything right now because we are...
Sorry, I haven't got this.
Yeah, now
the screen shared. Yeah, just so you'll find all of these links will work. So this will take you to the Featurepedia database. That'll take you to Research Buddy. This will take you to the relevant bits. Same with where I've got data like this from McKinsey. If you click on that image on the presentation, it will take you to the original reports. So I've got the whole thing referenced and linked. And if you want to see...
They loved it. And that's why I'm asking if we can share it. And something else, there is so much going on here. How can organizations tell which jobs will be going on and which will be evolving? Which jobs are going to be taken out of the market, if I can say that. and which are going to be evolved. How do we plan for the long term? There is a debate about losing our jobs, copywriting jobs, etc., etc. Programmers' jobs, perhaps. I hear that programmers do a lot with ChatGPT and this kind of applications. So if you could tell us in relevance in regards to the jobs position.
So the most important thing to understand is if you think you can plan for the long term, you can't. Yeah. Once you realize you can't plan for the long term, you're in the right place strategically. We're just entering this hyper turbulent thing that is unpredictable. And if you follow it through for the long term, you get lost. So what can we do in terms of our jobs? How can we plan? How can we do that? You have to do something. There's a really nice thing in effectuation theory about, it's called piloting a plane, and it talks about what pilots do during a storm. When a storm comes along, pilots they throttle down, they lower their altitude, and they prepare to be buffeted around in various issues. And they keep an eye on their dials, their environments. They look out the window, see what's going on, and they pay close attention to what's there. And they don't worry about controlling the storm. Did God make the storm? Was it created? Was it a weather pattern? They just focus on what they can do. And that's really what organizations need to do in a moment like this. It's about focus on keeping yourself current with the technology. Just keep up to date with it. Stay near the front, stay in that learning mode. Don't commit to anything too big. Now's not the time for huge, £100 million, CapEx projects into some IT system. Now's the time for 50 little projects, all funded with, $500,000 here or $1 million there, just little projects, and see what happens. Keep up to date. And that's really all you can do at the moment. It's stay current, position the organization to be buffeted around, and keep learning with the technology, because it's such a threshold concept. I've talked to so many strategic leaders who really don't understand it, and they're trying to come up with strategies, and I realize they don't know what generative AI is. And we just, as workers in this field, and especially leaders, we need to take the time, lock yourself away for half a day somewhere with the right people, and master this, because understanding it is going to be fundamental to making sure your organization is not going to go the way of Kodak, of Nokia, of
if
Xerox.
they need more help, they can consult you, right? If they need more help, people like you.
Yeah, people like me. There are other strategic AI people around, but that's exactly what we do. And to be honest, that's what I'm personally really excited about. It's very exciting being at the edge of these things and working with, on the global MBA program, we're working with leaders all over the world. And then when I'm working with businesses and in boardrooms, we're at the cutting edge of something really exciting. What's going to happen is difficult to predict, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be an adventure.
Okay. Thank you very, very much for this great presentation, Rob. If you could stay on the chat for a while and people can contact you perhaps with questions, it would be great. Thank you very much. You have a nice day.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.